I just watched the new Superman movie by James Gunn, and I want to give you my review. This is going to be filled with spoilers, so there is your one and only warning. Overall, if I had to rate it by stars, assuming 5 stars is max and 1 star is minimum, I would give it a 3.9. I'm still very excited about the start of this new DCU. I think it will be an incredible kickstart. Can't wait to see all the other things combine and get into this universe. Um, it has a lot of great parts, but it had some parts that were not so great. It had some good parts, it had some bad parts. So let's get into it. First off, music selection was S tier, epic. As always, Gunn chooses the best songs to go with the best scenes. Were they the only songs that could have gone with those scenes? No, but he knows how to get the music going just right. You can feel it. That part where Mr. Terrific just goes off and the music is like at a minimum and then shoots up when he gets into the fight scene and then goes back down. It was incredible. That's the music at the end when Superman's getting healed and he wants to see all the videos of his parents and the music was playing. It was just really well done with the music. Well done there. Things that could have been better. One would be the nonsensical story parts. There's just some key things throughout the story that just made no sense, killed the mood, made it just took you out of the watching it and you just felt like, what is going on? This is so unrealistic and so bizarre. And that includes when you're into the movie, it's like 10-20 minutes in, and then you introduce Lois and Superman. They know each other, they're dating, and then you immediately follow that up, and this just kills the mood with her getting her first formal real interview with Superman, and then immediately kicking it off with this aggressive, logical, confrontational fight that gets way too much into politics and just keeps escalating from there. That just would not happen in real life. Trust me. I've gone on many dates. I've seen how women operate. Others have as well. You don't get into a relationship. You don't even finish the first date if someone is that crazy and logical and just gets into the fight and has no social sense to like realize, okay, let's reel it back. This is ruining our relationship. This is not the right vibe. And it just seemed really off. It even killed kind of the energy of the audience, I feel like, if I were to guess. It's just like, oh yeah, we're here to see Superman. And then it's just like this really long, not really long, but it was a bit too long, awkward, drawn out fight. And I just felt like it indicated no social sense from either of them. You can kind of blame the acting, but I think it's really the script, the dialogue. It just was kind of awkward. The acting at that point was probably the weakest because it was just like really awkward. They were getting into this fight for so long, and I feel like not just me, but the audience was just like, geez, like this, like it's clearly this is going off the rails, and Lois, you can't notice, and Superman, you're like, both of you are like not feeling this, and you're still going into this on camera. It was just kind of weird. Didn't seem to have any real social intelligence or would happen in real life like that. So that's one thing. I mean, there were to jump back to another small good thing, not great thing, but good thing was there was some good humor, some comedic relief throughout. There was that point at the end where the news reporter, head of chief, was talking to the other guy and was like, so how long have they been hooking up? And he's like, 3 months. So that was funny how he just immediately knew. So there were little points of humor when Guy was like, battling those tanks and stuff, and the green manifestations of his ring just shot up the middle finger. That was really funny. Okay, back to some other things that were just like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, or could at least have room for improvement. I don't like to criticize too much. I want to be productive here. So one thing that has a lot of room to improve were the scenes that were just like had antagonism and challenge, and then they were solved quickly or kind of nonsensically, kind of quickly without Superman really having to do much work and just being lucky at the right time and place. For example, him escaping that pocket universe when he's in a dungeon and he has kryptonite on him. Okay, he gets out of the jail, but if he wasn't super lucky and Mr. Terrific was just there and Mr. Terrific had this incredible genius mind to open that portal and get him out of there, I don't think Superman would be smart enough. He just seems kind of like an average intelligence to be able to escape that. So he was just like, oh, we'll figure it out. Only in these plot armor devices where you're always lucky in the nick of time. And that really just took me out of it. It just seemed nonsensical. It was unbelievable. Like, okay, you escape your jail, but you have no idea you don't have the smarts to activate this portal and get back home. You have no idea. So he wouldn't have been able to do it. And he just happened to be really lucky. 99% of the other times, he would have been stuck there and then probably eventually wrangled back up and put back into his cage. Speaking of that shape-shifting dude who got him out and at first was like holding him hostage with the kryptonite, that was another 180 degrees in like record time. First, he's screaming and yelling at him not to talk to him and just shoving the kryptonite to his face to like, do damage to him. When Superman tried to talk a little bit and convince him to change his mind because he noticed that was his son being held hostage. And then all it took was the first ever, interaction. I was expecting many more people to die before Superman revealed something important, or there was a change of heart, but Lex kills the first guy who was just this random stranger to this shapeshifter, and he gets all sad about it. And then quite quickly, too, it wasn't even that drawn out. He does this Russian roulette thing, second bullet, boom, done. Wasn't really even drawn out much like a typical Squid Game scene would be, where it really pumps your emotions. And then guess what? Boom, you are, all of a sudden, this monster that's holding you captive decides to release you. And Superman really did nothing to convince this guy or change him. He just changed his heart on his own. And then Lex is like stupid and somehow he doesn't know how Superman got out. And he's screaming, how did he get out? Why did he get out? Dude, don't you know you have all this hyper intelligent futuristic tech? You probably have cameras, even with basic level deductive skills. You would realize that the shapeshifter with the kryptonite who was there holding him hostage is gone too. And then all the fighters and people who were fighting Superman while he was escaping, when they noticed they were also fighting the shapeshifter guy, when they report that to Lex. Now the shapeshifter guy, I think there's also some like power level issues. Not as big a deal, but like, dude is strong. Like, he just shoots out this acid, kills or harms. I don't know if he's a killer, but he immediately kills off like 6 of these guys, guards that were, had these jetpacks on and were making fun of the shapeshifter. And he immediately kills them. Dude is super strong, and then he just kind of disappears until towards the end where he does some type of sandstorm tornado and kind of becomes like the Sandman in the Spider-Man universe and just kind of like helps out with the battle. That's cool and stuff, but this guy is super strong, and then you just kind of nerf him a bit. Not as big a deal, but I think the biggest WTF is just like, the whole Superman thing where he's just kind of like not challenged much, I guess, or not even not challenged much, but like held through with plot armor. Now, I do have to give him credit. He did hold his own, and there's a giant fight scene with him and Lex Luthor's goons, and what turns out to be a clone of Superman, which, that's that. But, by the way, another good thing is the casting for Superman. I thought it was great. Great actor. He nailed the role for Superman. And his clone, the clone version of him with long hair, that dude looked really much like Henry Cavill. So they found a great replacement. He looks just, not just like, but very close to Henry Cavill when he has long hair, which was pretty crazy. And, he gives a more, it's kind of hard to describe, but his own unique version of Superman. It's similar, but it's like a more warm, comfortable, relatable feel with his personality, and of course the coloring with the color schemes of the film. They're just a lot more bright and vibrant, which I think there was a huge YouTube video made when Man of Steel and Justice League came out about how the color scheme was always this really dark, grim color, and it really kind of put a damper on the mood. I really like this kind of more bright color scheme, but it's still fun. It's light. I don't know if the right word's flirty, but it's more upbeat than that kind of dark, grim color scheme of, the last, Justice League, Man of Steel, Aquaman, that previous DCU universe. That was just, it just kind of put on a much more serious tone to everything without really much, follow through, if that made sense. It was just like, okay, this is clearly going to be a kind of Batman style dark thing. Oh, the plot kind of sucks. Like, what's the point of that then? If you're going to put like this, Shutter Island type of color scheme, like, I'm expecting some dark, serious thriller type of plot. Okay, what else? Other great casting, Lex Luthor, that actor, I think he nailed the role. But I do wish they either cast or made him much more muscular and tall with a deep voice. Because that's the Lex Luthor I liked from the animations that I used to watch. And instead of this kind of confident, arrogant genius, we got kind of this sniveling, skinny genius with a shrieking high voice. So I think he still nailed the role, but I think there's a little things I felt like could have been better there. Yeah, make him more jacked. Make him really jacked. I think that's the Luthor I remember. Other superheroes, I loved Guy, the Green Lantern dude, and Mr. Terrific. I still don't know why they chose Guy. He's kind of like a wacky Green Lantern, but I guess it adds a lot more character. I really liked all these personalities in the film, and they're not all these Chad-looking, one-dimensional personalities. And that's my guess as to why they added him. Great powers, interesting personalities. There were a couple points where Mr. Terrific was a bit off. Like, I think the way, like when Lewis was like, "You want to take my car?" The way he reacted to that, it was just kind of a bit